Hello and welcome back to the Cubase Fundamentals course. Today we're going to have a look at one of my favourite subjects and something that's very dear to my heart, which is FX inserts. As a guitarist, we just spend countless hours playing with guitar stomp boxes, and that's an example of an insert effect. It's something that gets in the way of the audio chain. The signal has to go through it. Now, it's the easiest way to apply effects, and it's what we're going to deal with exclusively today. In the next episode, we'll have a look at send effects. That's a different kind of beast. One very quick bit of housekeeping before we start. Somehow, I'm not quite sure how, but my guitar and rhythm masters have ended up pinned on the right-hand side. I usually have them in the middle. I just have the two primary buses pinned to the right for the most time. At least I do today. I might change my mind tomorrow. Now, as always, all of these projects as we go along will be, I'll upload them to my Patreon account. If you want to check the link out below, that would be awesome. Let's have a look at insert effects. So we're heading into the mix console. Click the little button at the window at the top. And this is our view. Now you might see it look like that with the inserts collapsed. Just click on the little box and it'll open. And you might not be able to see all of the empty slots. You've got 16 insert slots to play with. If you can't see them all, this little drop down box right on the top of the window that says rack settings, if you open that and select fixed number of slots, if I disable that, then it will show me just enough to show all the currently active inserts, but I like to see them all at all times. Okay, what's an insert effect? Well, it's anything we want it to be. Today we're going to add some stuff to our guitar sounds to make them sound better. And a really good place to start is a chorus effect. I love a good chorus effect. Let's get one slapped on. So I've got my guitar chord 1 here. I'm going to solo the track so we can hear it. And I'm going to add a chorus effect. So if I click in any empty box, it really doesn't matter which one. And head into the Steinberg section. And you'll find one called Chorus. You should have this. It's in Elements Artist and Pro. All versions of Cubase have got this. Let's hear what that's done. Have a little bit of a play with the settings. It's nice. Quite subtle, just adds a little bit of shimmer to the sound. Now I'm not bothered about talking about choruses today, that's not the point of the episode. You can always take a screenshot of the settings if you particularly like it, but it's really something to load up and have fun with. What I'm really talking about is how we manage this stuff. So I'm going to throw another couple of effects in really quickly so that we've got some material to play with. I'm going to add a compressor. And this basically evens out the sound. So stuff that's too loud gets made quieter, stuff that's too quiet gets made louder. And it's an effect that you'll find pretty much everywhere on live instruments. So let's add a compressor. But instead of drilling into the Steinberg menu, which I know it's there, I'm going to search for vintage compressor, that's what I want. So as soon as I start typing, Cubase immediately shows me all the options available, and there I can see vintage compressor, select it, and that's now being loaded up. If I hover over the thing, you'll see 3 different buttons. On the right hand side, that's a drop down to basically select a new effect. Don't want to do that. On the left hand side, we've got a bypass effect. So if I engage bypass, it basically shuts that effect off. So now if I press play, you won't hear either of those effects. Let's bring the compressor in and hear what that's doing. Gosh, that's compressing a lot. Let's stick with 2. So again, we could spend hours talking about compressor settings, but today I just want to get it in there. It's having a nice effect. It's really subtle, but it's just doing a little bit to the upper and lower volumes of the sound. Bring the chorus back in, hear those two together. Let's add a delay. Pick this mono delay. Okay, that's way too much. So the delay currently is defaulting. I've turned the sound off and that's what it's doing, so it's like ridiculously over the top. But we can tame this down to sound really nice. 1/8 double is just the perfect delay sound for me. So I'm going to plug that in and we'll get this sounding nice. It's going to do a kind of ping pong effect. There we go. Very nice. So there's our three sounds, and obviously I've just thrown those in, but they sound really nice and we've got a good kind of default template to work with. Now, did you notice that when I loaded each of those effects, we didn't get the interface appear immediately? I had to click in the box. You can change that behavior by default. If I just throw this, I'll throw the chorus away and we'll reload it back. But this time, if I go to Edit, Preferences, down in VST Plugins, you can say Open Effect Editor after loading it. If you turn that on, we'll have a quick look at some other settings here while we're here. Plugin Editor's always on top, I think is pretty much essential. I always have that on. And I don't like being warned about removing effects units. It just annoys me too much, that box popping up, so I have that disabled. We'll come back and have a look at the other settings another time, but that'll do us for now. So having now engaged Open Effect Editor after loading it, when I bring this chorus back in, the box immediately appears, the editing window immediately appears. So let's just dial our settings back in. I think I had a bit of that, a little bit of that. Okay, so we've got that nice sound and we want to basically copy that across to the guitar arpeggio track. Well, there's multiple different ways that we can go about it. The first one is to hold the Alt key down and drag the effects across one by one. That will work. Get rid of them. So I'm just dropping the arrow down and then right at the top of the window we've got no effect. That gets rid of your effect. Another way that we can do it is to right click on the inserts title at the top, say copy, and then right click, paste. That does all three all in one go. But I can also create a little preset out of this stuff. Go back into this selection box and say save FX chain preset. And now I'm going to call this Project 1 Guitar Chorus. Say OK. And now on this Inserts tab, I can say Load FX Chain Preset. And there it is. So now if we tab over to the guitar arpeggio, we'll have all of those effects on that strip. You might think that guitar's popping a little bit too much. No problem. Bypass insert just disables that effect. You can bypass all of the inserts by clicking this little blue button. And we can get to all of this stuff from the main inspector. We have an insert section here. And there you can see all of our effects, again with the global bypass option if we want to. Right then, let's have a look at this green line. All of the slots above that green line have the word pre, and all of the slots below have the word post. And by default, you'll have 14 slots above and 2 slots below. And what this green line is basically delineating is where the fader comes in the routing. So basically the effects go into the inserts, go through 14 of them, then go through the fader, then go through the 2 at the end. The situation is a little bit more complicated than that because we have baked in strip effects in Cubase. If we have a look, it's best to get to it from the edit channel settings route. And here we have our inserts, and you can see that we've got a strip tab as well. So basically Cubase gives you these effects for free. Here's an EQ and a compressor and all sorts of various other bits. And we can define whether or not these strip controls come. You see this, it says move channel strip to pre-inserts position. And if I click it, it will now say move channel strip to post inserts position. So this is specifying whether the strip effects come before or after the insert effects. Now in the manual, it says that this green line specifies your fader and EQ settings, and I've taken that to mean the channel strip values. I haven't done the due diligence on every single one of these settings to see whether or not it has any impact on pre or post fader. To be absolutely honest with you, I don't use Cubase's baked in strip settings very much, so if you want to investigate that yourself, be my guest. But the most important thing is that the green line is all about the fader. So if you think about it, the audio's got to get through all of this stuff. It's got to go through all of these insert effects, and it's also got to go through the fader. But whether or not you apply the volume setting from the fader before or after the audio goes into a particular effect is going to have an effect on its sound. Think of distortion pedals, for instance. The more signal you send into a distortion pedal, it's going to sound dramatically different. Let's head back to our mix console just for a moment. I'm going to right click on this mono delay to show you that you can set some of these values from the right click menu. So you can say move to post fader slot. If I select that, the mono delay suddenly appears below the green line. The green line itself, you can pick it up on a per track basis and move it. So if you want a different set of configurations for different tracks, you can do it that way. And we have the option to set as last pre-fader slot. If I pick that, then it's just moved the green line below it. Move this up here, and that moves the green line up to meet it. So let's just tidy that up a little bit, fix some of that stuff that we've just changed, unsolo the track, and let's hear what both of those tracks sound like together. It's very nice, and that delay is working really nicely. But I was thinking to myself the other day that everything is still very centralized. With these two guitar sounds being in predominantly the same frequency range, they are kind of stumbling over each other a little bit. So I'm going to pan them. I don't generally tend to do very much panning when I'm in the middle of writing a song. But in the case of these two guitars, I think it's going to make it much more pleasant on the ears if we just throw them right and left a little bit. I'll get it going while I do it. You generally don't want delay as an insert effect, you want it as a send effect, and we'll have a talk about that in the next episode. Thanks very much for watching. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed it. I'll see you then.